Hello, Dr. Grant. Hello, class. Today I will be discussing my new and improved workplace communication problem. Um, Previously, I was going to talk about a problem that I had noticed in my construction industry internship, but after discussing with you, Dr. Grant, we thought that it would be better to do something that I was a part of currently. And being that I'm new to the university, I wasn't very familiar about how things were here. And being a master's student, I'm not really that much on campus, but I'm very involved in our football program, being I'm one of the scholarship athletes. And I've started to become very familiar of how things are run and some problems that we faced as a program. So my communication project proposal is to develop an improvised plan for the Robert Morris University football team to combat COVID-19 and maximize their season. So a little background, I've through talking to some coaches and some athletic trainers, I found out that in the spring of 2021, this past spring, where all FCS football teams, their season had got postponed to the spring, Robert Morris University was scheduled to play a full in-conference season, but because of COVID outbreaks on the team, they were only subjected to 4 games. So they lost out on 5 more games that they could have played just because there were too many players on the medical reserve list. That being said, we're starting to see a reoccurring theme, and that our first game versus Dayton was canceled because we didn't have enough players because too many people were either positive with the virus or had been affected by contact tracing. And then the next game versus Central Michigan, we ended up playing, but we've had over 25 plus players that were in quarantine and couldn't be part of the game. So we're seeing that the the procedures that we have in place right now at the university and for our football team has proven in the past to not work, and is proving again that it still isn't working. So I think that a great communication problem is to update the procedures that we use here for the football team and on campus, and see how we can maximize this season so that all the work that the student athletes have put in will pay off, so this season isn't cut short again. So kind of like how I started the previous video, I'd like to talk about the semantics or the team culture. So now that the COVID virus has brought itself back again, there has been a lot of more accountability, but there's still that notion of like, uh, I don't want to get the vaccine, or yeah, like we've already had COVID, so for a little while we can't get it again. So this isn't really a focus right now. And being college students still just want to have fun. They don't really want to focus on the rules too much. But being that we have obligations as student athletes, that's not the right mindset to have. So some updates. Well, the procedure that I want to follow was there needs to be an initial meeting with the university's COVID-19 leaders and staff members of the football team, staff members being both coaches and the medical staff. And then in these virtual meetings, there needs to be procedures put in place where there's an update and there's training to these staff members where they can go out and push it on to the team and teach the team how to correctly follow these guidelines. Now, some of these updates that I have been thinking about while looking how other football programs at other universities, how they do it, I think that a major part is a mandatory vaccine. In the background, when doing some research on the information hub for Robert Morris's COVID-19 website, it mentions that a vaccine is mandatory, but if there's some religious or moral or ethical reasons why you don't want to get it, then a student here on campus doesn't have to get it. So it isn't necessarily mandatory because anyone can develop a ethical or moral reason why they don't want to get it. So moreover, for a mandatory vaccine, I also think that we should have weekly COVID tests for every player on the team, including all staff members. I think that there should be reduced lift groups, and even though that the entire team is with each other on the field, I feel like in close encounters or like inside buildings, we should try to minimize how many people are with each other. So one idea that I have researched and saw that other schools do is maybe only the offense is in the locker room at a certain time, and then the defense is in the locker room at a certain time. So not all 100 players are in the locker room at the same time, kind of split it up just to reduce how many people are in contact with each other. So those four updates are more player wise, and the updates that are more like structural wise, like how I mentioned, there should be a meeting with the officials where there's a specific change in the legislature here on campus. Moreover, from that, there should be instructional meetings where the staff members that were briefed can go on and present that information to the players, and they can not only tell them but physically show them how to follow these guidelines. Other than that, I feel like there should be ongoing weekly meetings where there's documentation and there's monitoring of these processes. So at the end of the season, there can be a postseason recap, and we can go back and reanalyze how the procedures have worked week to week, and we can use those findings to update the guidelines even after the season, and those guidelines can be pushed to other sports teams, not just football, that those sports teams can use it for their seasons. And since COVID-19 is kind of unforeseen for how long it will be here in the future, we might be even using that for next fall when the football team plays again. So I feel like the scope out, it needs to be an immediate impact just because we have already started the season. So in order to maximize our potential and play as many games as we can, this needs to be implemented right now. And then, like I said, since COVID is unforeseen, it can last for however long in the future. And the biggest cost estimate I thought about is just, it will be timely. The most time that will be taking place is going to be at the beginning, where in these meetings the ideas are shared and this legislature is actually formed. But other than that, the only costly thing would be COVID tests, since one of the updates that I thought of was weekly COVID tests. So yeah, that is my updated workplace communication project. I think that it is very relevant just because COVID-19 has taken a turn on our team, and it has proven in the past that it can end the season. And I feel like if we do something about it now, we can better prevent from this season to be ended. Thank you.